I would like to ask you, for people that don't know, what was it about your wife Aida that attracted you to her?
Yes, it's just the refinement. And my wife is beautiful. She is absolutely beautiful, but I did not see that. I did not see that. I was at my friend of mine's house. His name was Yohimbe, and I was working on music. I had a headset on, and I'm working on music, and he's talking with one of his friends, his childhood friends, who was a female. They're sitting on the bed talking, and then in walks these two women. And they have a seat on the bed, and they all begin to conversate. And I'm working on music, and I'm minding my own business, and they start talking, and I take one of my ears, one side of the ear set off, and I kind of listen in, and I hear my wife Aida talking about how she just cut her hair off. And when I say cut her hair off, I mean all the way. And what was profound was she had stated that she had never cut her hair off in her life. So she had locks that went, way down past her butt. And she decided the day before she came into that space that she was going to cut all her hair off. And what I thought was, anytime a woman does something like that, especially if they had never cut her hair off in all of her life, for I know that she must be dealing with something that is powerful. And she must be in a serious process of personal refinement.
And it was drastic.
Yes, and what it did was, for me, was it struck an interest. I wanted to know, what was she going through? I wanted to know what was the process that she was dealing with, because I knew that I too was refining myself as a man. You see, that's what attracted me to her. And essentially, she had on a head wrap, and she didn't want to take her head wrap off because she was completely bald. And for some reason, I said out of my mouth, I think that bald heads are sexy. I don't know why I said it. I just said it. Okay. And when I said it, she smiled, and my friend Yohimbe looked at me like, "Did you just say that?" Because that's not in my character even then. And she took off her head wrap, and when she took her head wrap, it was like a glow. Literally, it was like a glow. It was so very powerful, and we just locked eyes, and we were looking at each other. It seemed like seconds, but my friend Yohimbe said, "Y'all was looking at each other for like a couple of minutes." We didn't realize that. And from that moment, and it had nothing to do with how she looked necessarily. I didn't even see her as being a person. I was not on the prowl. Okay,
it was on a soul level.
Yes, and she didn't walk in there thinking, "Okay, I'm going to go over to Yohimbe's house so I can find me a mate." That's not how these things work. Mm-hmm. How these things work is that she was doing her personal refinement, and she was attracting unto her the masculine representation of who she was at that time. I was doing the personal refinement as a man, and I attracted to my space the feminine manifestation of who and what I was at that time, and the universe took care of the details. And here we are 10 years later, 5 babies, and it has been a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Saying is, if you are ready, it could be like 24 hours.
It can be in 1 second.
Wow.
It can be as a matter of fact, it could have already taken place. You just may not be aware of it. I can tell you, I had visions of my wife. I had dreams of her.
Before you met her?
Yes, years prior. I'll tell you, I had this one dream where I was in the dark, and all of a sudden these Native American ancestors, these women, came out of the darkness, took my hand, and walked me to this place where they had this fire, like a little campfire. And they all sat down, and they were knitting, and they were doing bead work. Wow, I forgot about that. I forgot. They were weaving baskets, and one of them or two of them, they were creating this dress. And do you know that I looked into the fire, and in that fire, I saw a baby. And I thought that baby was my daughter to be someday. But do you know that baby was my wife?
Wow. How do you know that now?
Because later on, when we began to talk and we began to share stories, my wife was in a fire in San Diego, where I grew up in, right down the street from my grandma's house.
Wow.
Wow.
And in that fire, her 2 of her siblings perished. And so out of that fire, I saw this baby in my vision, in that dream. This baby was in that fire, and that baby began to grow. And it grew into a young woman. And then the Native American ancestors, they begin to give this woman these gifts, the basket and the dress that they had weaved in the beadwork. They presented this to her. But what was taking place was our marriage was taking place.
That's right.
Years in advance of me even meeting my wife in Oakland, California. So it's not just a temporal thing. It's not like it can happen just a second from now or a year from now or a week from now. It could have already happened. But we must do the work in advance to be prepared so that when it finally manifests itself, that we will be able to receive and accept our blessings. It's already on the way.
It's already on the way. So you don't have to be looking for this perfect guy. You can actually find someone that is working on themselves as well.
Well, the idea is don't look. Just seek to get the perfect you. And you don't even have to be perfect. But seek to refine yourself till you get to the perfect you. You don't have to ever get there because it's a continuous process that transcends this life, as it were. But the idea is not to look. Don't look external. That's not necessary. You don't have to be on the prowl. You don't got to go to clubs. You don't got to date. That's a faulty model that we've been given, and it sets us up for failure over and over again. Just do the math. Just calculate, and you'll see. Okay. All you have to do is refine yourself so that you can present not to a man, but to the universe, the best of who you are. And when you present the best of who you are to the universe will say, oh, I see. And therefore, the universe will do its part and manifest into your space the people, the situations and circumstances that will be reflective of the best of who you are. That's the goal.
That's beautiful. So how is it when you're with someone that is so closely matched like that? I mean, is it just smooth sailing after that? I mean, are there any bumps in the road, or is it when you're with the right person, is it just smooth?
I would say for the most part, it's smooth. My wife and I, we don't argue and we don't fuss, and I've never called her a bitch. She never called me a nigga, anything like that. We don't have that kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's not even in our vocabulary. You know what I mean? Or at least most of the time. Sometimes I talk to certain people. I got to use certain words, but you see what I'm saying? Like, as an honorable man, and I'll talk about this in a lecture series. I think I talk about it in terms for the male lecture series. We have to be careful with our words. We must treat women with the highest level of respect that we possibly can, because they are the bringers of life. Y'all created us. I talked to my wife about this. We were watching, I don't know which lecture series it was, but I talked about, it may have been a radio show. I think it was on Beloved Is She, the radio show. And I talk about how, it was a woman that held us in her womb for 9 months. And it was a woman who put us together. Literally put us together like puzzle pieces. It was her body. It was a woman who carried us for those 9 months and brought us into existence. So therefore, y'all the creators of life. So how can we defile you on any level? Even if we feel like we're being disrespected by a woman still. The way I look at it is, how can you disrespect the creator of you? Mm-hmm. You see, so it's very difficult for me to get to a point where I can even consider disrespecting my wife on any level, or disrespecting any other woman on any level. It becomes difficult. And see, part of it is it's not in terms, because, my wife and I, we've had disagreements, but they've paled in comparison to me seeing her and having a vision of her years in advance. You see, the disagreements pale in comparison to that day when she walked into Yohimbe's house and she took off her head wrap and we were our eyes locked, and it was like, look at, lo and behold, a vision has come to pass. You see, the disagreements that we have between each other as men and women, they pale in comparison to the cosmic reality that what is taking place is the affirmation of life when males and females come together. The masculine and feminine come together. When we understand it on that level, there is the bumps in the road become almost impossibilities. It's important to understand, and many of us, we've accepted male-female relationships to be about a struggle for power and control. No, it's not about struggles. It's not about, disagreements. It's about creating something as masculine and feminine beings and coming to a level of completion and coming to a level of perfection where we can create something beautiful on planet Earth. And then, of course, where does the minor disagreements fit into that? They pale in comparison.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that honestly, You have set the bar really high. That's why it was really hard for me to find honorable men for this list. And actually, I should have put you on the list. But you set the bar so high. Like the situation with you and your wife and you seeing her, that is not common. You know what I'm saying? And you and seeing your wife and she's going through that and the wonderful life that you all have created and how both of you, are opening your eyes and the way you raise your children and the food and the homeschooling and the home birth, it's the bar is set really, really high. You and Aida are not common. I'm just letting you know.
Yes. No, I know, but I mean, the commonality, that's, what do we focus on? What is common, or do we focus on what is possible?
No, I love it. I just want people listening. Yeah, I just want people listening that even though you didn't have the dream, even though, it's not similar to this, you can still find someone and have a wonderful life. I just believe that you, specifically, you and Aida, were brought here to show us how it could be, because it's very special to me. I mean, if I ever become a mom, if I ever become a wife again or anything like that, I've never really had anybody that I thought was close to the template that I would even ascribe to other than you two.
Well,
I'm being really
that.
honest, honest.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I just want people to know that we must look at the possibility more than anything else. And if we can say it is possible in the first place, then we can go through a process of refining ourselves so that it will become probable.
Yeah, you are showing us that it is possible.
Yes,
it is
all
probable.
I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Yes, and it does not matter what.
Yes, and it doesn't matter what you have been through or what your experience. Look, my wife and I, we did not grow up in a family institution. Neither one of us that was whole. My father beat my mother. My father was heavy into alcohol and drugs, and at a certain point he was on crack. I've seen the levels of brutality that I cannot express to you all, exhibited from my father to his children and to my mother, and having my mother scream out in pain and asking him to stop, and she calling out his name, which is the same as mine. My Aida, she never had a father ever. She never had a family institution. She has been through experiences that I cannot speak of here on air. And part of the reason why I respect her so much is because she has transcended all of that. And so what I'm getting at here is that it doesn't matter where you have been, doesn't matter what your life experience has been, it does not matter where you are at right now. It's all possible. All good things are possible, and all good things are deserving of you, and you are deserving of all good things. When you see it that way, when you see the possibility within that scope,
yes,
then your life will begin to take shape in a way that is deserving of truly what you deserve as a human being on planet Earth. And we all deserve to experience the best that we can offer to each other.
Yes, I agree. Okay, I think we're on number 8 for the questionnaire. Do you trust men?
Okay. Oh, my. This was a very different.
I know. I remember when I wrote this one, I said, wait a minute. I had to check with my wife. I said, should I leave that one on there?
Oh, no. That is so important. Are you kidding? That is very important.
Yes. And the question is, do you trust men? And then please explain why. And I don't want, and I'm not trying to shed a negative light on this, but I want you to understand that if you do not trust men, you cannot expect an honorable man to come into your space.
Right.
You can't expect that. You can't, because you have to set a vibrational field about yourself. I'll say it, I'll put it in these terms. How you carry yourself is what will carry him to you. Okay? So when in how you carry yourself, do you trust men? A very critical question. That's a very difficult question. Like for women, you really have to think about that. And then, of course, please explain why.